We're gonna need the whole picture for this. The whole canvas. Be a big drawing. All right, let me see what the homie Jordan said. LOL, hottest black anime book in the streets. 600 out of the trunk. Yeah, man. Jordan always finds a way to really turn it so I can really see. I can really see what the book has actually done. Because I definitely don't, quote unquote, give myself enough credit. All right, man. Let's get into the things that I think work. That I like. John, real quick, what program are you using to draw this in? And Lazy Vibes. So I would say like go try to do the grid on your own, but you know you're using Clip Studio. I don't know how familiar you are with it, but you should be able to left click on your folder or on an image and then go to ruler and frame, and that will bring you to perspective ruler, and that'll allow you to make 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point perspective. And that's after, you know, that's after you freehand it, or if you don't feel comfortable freehand it, you could do it there, and then when you feel more comfortable, you start freehanding it. But John, things I like, similarly to the last image, cool background, warm tones that you have on top of here, it works, right? That's the contrast of your character is pretty good. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take my hue and saturation correction layer that I had before, and I'm gonna put it above this. Now, your color contrast is working for your character to stand out. Immediately, I brought up the hue and saturation because now once you make everything grayscale, you're seeing how much everything else recedes but the flames. Now, let's say you're telling a story. You know, if you have a reason for that and this works, right? Like, let's say that your character just found their power. They've just kind of they've boomed into themselves, and the flames are slowly creeping over the body. This works because then now you have the, you know, I'm focusing on the flames because you roughly have this white on a black background. What you want to be able to do, and I'm gonna duplicate, rasterize, and I'm gonna very quickly just give an example, and then this will work with Lazy Vibes too, vibes as well. This is gonna be very quick and dirty. Now I'm also gonna leave the ground because I think the ground is also important to this silhouette. I'm gonna flip it, and then we're just gonna control U, and we're gonna pull down some of the saturation. Oops, no, sorry, excuse me. I'm gonna flip this, and we're gonna pull down some of the saturation, and we're gonna pull up, make it a little lighter. It still feels like a nighttime shot just because of the type of blue that you chose, right? And like, imagine if this was, you know, even tighter to your character. The silhouette is stronger. And the interesting thing that you have on here is you have this interesting silhouette. So you know, if you were doing a line of motion, you could do a line of motion like this, right? And you got this interesting silhouette here. It's fucking strong, bro. But it's lost because of the lack of contrast between your main character silhouette and the background. Now, like, as I said before, right? Oh, Pernell the King, thank you for the follow, bro. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the streams, man. So, you know, as I've said before, right? You have the contrast, the color contrast using like a warm and cools, so it works in this way. It's all about like reinforcing it and just making it stronger. You know what I mean? Like why the fuck not make it stronger? You know, I've found too that when you look at artwork that does really well on these social accounts or people that tend to be really good artists, you can flip their shit inverted, just like grayscale, and the silhouettes are very strong. And what that does is that helps you determine what the person's doing almost right away. You don't realize how fast you comprehend it. It's a sensory and perception thing. It's how you perceive it. You know, the artwork and the drawing. You do it a lot quicker if it's been emphasized, right? If your silhouette, your pose has been emphasized in just the general shape language, and then you use color to make the contrast even more, and then you use lighting to make the contrast even more. You know what I mean? And trust me, you won't lose the nighttime background. And if you want to do that, and you want the background to be dark, then lighten the main character, so the character is then pushed forward in that way. And you're not going to lose your color choices there. If anything, it'll make it stronger. All right, I really like that song, so we're gonna go back and just kind of Quasar. Listen to that one again. All right, you guys know the deal. We're gonna drop in a grid, and gonna do the line's gonna be right here. That's giving me a tangent. Let's just make it lower. And there's going to be a third point off the top that we're not going to see. And again, this isn't too wildly accurate, because I am going off screen and I'm freehanding this grid. So I'm trying to go back to the original point that I was at, but there's a good chance that I'm missing it. We're just getting a general idea here. Somewhere right around here, the little bottom part, and let's say this is it right here. Yeesh, I'm not hitting that line. Okay, don't be too delicate. Don't be too delicate with this shit. Just get it moving. All right. You can already see a box forming. There's a couple perspectives that I kind of want to do here. Let's use a green to establish where our horizon line is. All right. Okay, I agree with you. Yeah, this drawing had this drawing I had drew grid, so it might have thrown me off. It's okay. Look, I think one of the things I've been learning too about you know, myself in drawing is that back up a little bit. So when they do this, when they do a test to test if a kid is really smart, like if a kid's going to be a genius, if they're going to be really smart, what they do is they have the kid draw a picture, and they'll say, hey, draw a picture of like a person's body, and then they'll have the person draw it. And what they're doing is they're trying to determine how much the kid can remember, right? They're trying to see like, okay, you know, does the kid remember arms, ears, eyes? Now, the more the kid draws, doesn't even have to draw it well, the more the kid is recollecting to draw eyes, nose, mouth, ears, hands, fingers, the more they're developing it is actually showing how smart that kid is, because of how much recall that they have in their brain. So now let's jump over to like the grid, and the grid kind of throwing you off. There's always a ton of shit to consider when you're drawing. That's why when you go back and you look at it, you see all the things that you would have changed. I firmly believe that as you become a better artist, the elasticity of your brain is growing. You're maintaining more things you keep in mind to remember. I start to remember, and there's certain things that you pick up naturally that kind of stick with you. Like, for example, if I said what's 1 + 1, you'd probably automatically say 2, because you've done that so often. You've seen, you know, done the 2 fingers thing so often that it is it's probably very easy to, like, you know, it's just stuck with you. So the more you do it, the more things will stick with you. But I firmly believe the elasticity of your brain gets larger, you maintain more shit, and it's easier to keep track of everything while you're drawing. All right, so we're doing the grid again, and now we have like a low angle of this grid, and I did a 2-point perspective, but I'll do a 1 point as well, or like 2, like one from the top and then one that's coming at us. The reason why I'm doing it is because it's going to allow you to get more volume, and it's going to allow your scene to feel a little bit more cinematic. Most things that you see in an anime or on film, you know, when they're using a camera, there tends to be two perspectives, into like far off vertices, right? Like left and right perspective, and then maybe a top and bottom, depending on what lens they're using. So jump into here, get back into our purple, lighten this a little bit. Hard for me to see, but I'm still gonna see what I can do. Now, angle. We're following our grid here. We're actually gonna push them back a little bit. We're following our grid here. Let's give some mountain here too. And I may toss in some color theory, some color stuff in here, and that contrast shit in here. Hey, character. Alright, it's not about anatomy construction. I'm gonna get out of my head with that. It's just about laying down the stuff again. C's, as you're seeing right now, I'm doing these hidden C's throughout this whole thing. Figuring out what my center line is, that's really helping me, and then trying to go back to those vertices wherever I can. So I'm gonna switch legs from the angle that I'm on. You could have taken this, I could have taken this from the other angle too. C's. We are above that horizon line. And I'm gonna do some sweeping motions. Oops, I already fucked up one of those C's. You gotta pay attention. To give the person's kind of lock their knee a little bit when stepping up here. They wouldn't do that. They would bend it. Wouldn't do that. You would have a slight bend. You probably would think that you're going to step up of the ledge. But again, C's. Wrap your constructions. Wrap them, man. It won't hurt you. Right? And as the things are getting, yes sir, the C's, as the things are getting further away, they're clearly getting smaller. Now I see what you're working on. Yes, yes, hop over to see what I'm actually working on, man. And now you can probably hear the music too. The vibes. The vibes are chill. You know what I'm saying? Again, let's go back into it. Now, further away, it's getting smaller. Now that I'm doing this, and I'm looking at the whole thing, I could probably, and I looked away for a second, I made it even smaller. And again, me personally, I think that's leading into the idea of the contrast, right? Your character, we're looking at them from under. Now, if you do this pose yourself, your arm is rarely ever fully to the back like this. If you take your arm and you wince it back like this, like even flat, you'll feel your posterior delt like going into your lat, kind of tighten up. It doesn't feel comfortable. You're most likely going to have it 3/4, so slightly forward and back. You know, just feel that motion sometimes in order to draw anything. So I'm going to pull this forward a little bit. Arm up, and that arm is also getting further away in space. It's getting smaller. And here. And I'm bending the wrist a little bit. Now, give or take, is he going to have that lax? I don't know what the character is looking at. Maybe he won't have such a lax wrist, you know, because if you're wielding a weapon, you're probably gonna have a firm wrist, but it's a little swaggy that his wrist is just a little like relaxed, you know what I'm saying? Bladed weapon here, then we're watching that blade across the back. Now let me do this drawing again. Okay, the other hand is straight down. And then again, when we fuck with the perspectives, overlap's an easy seller. There's two ways to like really to cheat a really good perspective or to cheat volume, is to have that overlap. and then it's also to do rim light. So let's say you don't overlap enough. Let's say I don't overlap this enough. I could always take a nice little rim light and hit it on here, right? And be like, oh yeah, like the light's shining and the rim light is hitting him here, and then it's hitting the throat here because the throat's poking out, and then it's hitting the arm here. So you get an idea that the light's coming from here. But maybe I didn't overlap or push the gesture and all of this shit correctly. You know, these are ways to cheat your drawing, and I used to do them when I was like more of a little while back, and then, you know, my cousin says something to me, and he was like, you know, and my cousin PJ, he's probably on. He may or may not be on, and you guys have seen him before, but you know, he's always pretty honest with me with my art. He always has been. But he was like, yeah, he's like, you know, you're he's like, your lighting's really good. It's like kind of professional. I was like, oh, thanks, man. He goes, yeah, it helps cover up a lot of your mistakes. And I was like, okay, you know, and it hit me. I was like, yeah, no, he was on stream earlier, Jordan, and he didn't mean it in like a he didn't mean it in a like an underhanded way, right? Like PJ's always been very straightforward, like with me with my work, which has really helped it kind of grow. And so what I did is I stopped like doing the color stuff. My character is not your cousin. No. My character's not your cousin. I stopped doing the you said my character, not your cousin. Yeah. Overconfident and usually looks down on those who waste his time. I figured. I was like, oh, you might be thinking that character. Yeah, and so like for a while I stopped doing the color shit. And I think there was a series on my page like a few years ago where there was like a month where I was just drawing my drawings and trying to get better at it, and my fucking engagement tanked. It fucking tanked. Because people didn't want to see me. Like, my lighting is what people started following me for. So people didn't want to see me. How can people on IG see what you're working on Twitch? Oh, okay. Link in bio, which my thing is right above it. You know, people didn't want to see me sketch shit. They wanted to see me color shit. And when I removed the coloring, I realized how good my art was, and it wasn't very good. And so I figured what I want to do is I want to make my art good, so then that way my lighting would complement the actual art skill. Now, have I gotten there? Probably not. But I'm hustling toward it, right? And I'm not, you know, and I'm making sure that I keep that stuff in mind. But going back to Jon's drawing, overlap and the rib lighting, we're gonna do some overlap here, and this is cool. And then the eyes are gonna be further up, the ears are gonna be further down because of where we're looking at in perspective. I learned this little trick with the nose, which helps. Is like the nose kind of will imitate the chin too. I have a lot of issues with low angle shots. As much as I do them, I have issues with them. I do them because I have issues with them, so I can kind of push myself to grow at it, but they don't really come out that well. And then mouth. All right, so the C's, man, is important here. And like in your drawing, where I feel like you could have had them is like here, you know, these wraps here, and well, technically that angle's from here to here. So, you know, you would probably see this gauntlet wrap like this. You know what I mean? And then all these components would wrap, and that's giving you the distance. I mean, And you could do lines and scuff marks that will really help you. Same thing here. This top part should probably curve a little bit. And then you would actually see the bottom of this. So you could have really did something like this, right? Where you do here, and then you show the bottom. Not as thick as I'm showing it, but we get some of the bottom here. Whoa, now you've given us some volume, you know what I'm saying? Wrapped here. These are all illusion breaking techniques, you know what I'm saying? That really help you, like, oh, and then like the distance between this really gives you a perspective on how low you are. You probably see under this, so you get some more volume here. And you'd probably see the bottom of this foot. So let's say like your foot came out here. This is the bottom. And you know, if we do this properly, foot's probably gonna be like this, right? And then you see the bottom of it. But you see how even with me drawing over it, it's helping. It's really helping to push this. Really need to use the C's more, man. Yeah, it's you know, game changer. Look at the belt now. If this belt was wrapped here, and you could tell you use the perspective. If this belt was wrapped here and the chest was wrapped here, you know what I'm saying? You did underneath, and then you did a little lip underneath, just to give us the volume of how thick the breastplate is. Muscles. Bro, you do that, we're looking at a different drawing. Check this. Look at that. Even just with your drawing alone, right? And me just doing the C's on top of it, look at how much more volume you're getting from your gauntlets and all of your other secondary components. You know, that would really help you accentuate like the story and the weight of your character. Yeah, it is. It's very wild. It's these very little small things, man, that like help break that illusion. And look, I'm now from here, I'm just following your lines, add a little line, add my own little lines here, and it's working. The little, even with just the little things, is working. You know, I would say proportionally. You know, you can F with some things proportionally. But you know, that will help you really make your character feel balanced, right? Once you get the volume in there, you also want this character to feel balanced, if you will. You know, but we're doing the C's again. We're wrapping it. And the top C again. Boom. Here. Boom. Boom. You did the underarm for this thumb, and it's working to help really push it. Same thing here. You giving me the perspectives here too. It'd probably be smaller there. And these hands wouldn't. They would grip it like this, gripping like this. So there would be some space. I'm saying. And you show me some depth here. Good. And we're getting under the cape, which is also good. Draw your cape line through. I do this on my shit a lot. Draw your cape line through, just so it feels it. You know, people don't see what's behind there, but it actually, you can feel that connection, opposed to seeing it. This would not be right here, really, unless it went like this. You know what I'm saying? Which is highly unlikely. And even if it is likely, it's not something that you really want to show in your art. So instead of making that tangent, just, you know, just bring it up here. Just like this. Dude, this is me tracing over your work, just using the C's. That thumb is yours. You know what I'm saying? You know, this right here is yours. Like, and you almost have the C here. You're playing around with it a little bit. Push it, man. You know, anatomy may be a little bit different here, but and you're seeing the gauntlet under the gauntlet, right? Probably gonna see the knuckles of these hands. I'm not doing a very good hand here. I'm trying to go over the lines here. I'm gonna have to, now I've been following your construction. I'm gonna have to break it a little bit for this hand, because it is going back into some space. It's actually a little hard to kind of like really feel this out. But you would see the bottom of those fingers. It looks weird on your thing, but when I close it like this, and you can see it is the bottom of the fingers. And then this thigh pad here, go back here and be right here. A little space there. Same thing here. C again. C again. And this one could be a slight one. Get some volume. Actually, let me put it here. And you did the volume with the shading, which I'm seeing, and I want to give you credit for that. All right. Yeah, so and then when I let it go, boom. I mean, it feels like it's in a 3D space, even if I remove this. You know, now if we're gonna push it and give it this, I just got a badge from Melanie. Melanie, thank you for the badge. Hop over to Twitch and see what I'm drawing on there. Unfortunately, just hearing me talk, but you're really not seeing what I'm drawing. So hopefully, maybe that will you'll be able to get some value out of that too. Thank you again for the badge. The power of the seas. Yes. Yo, it's like Remember the Titans when he's, you know, he looks at the playbook. He's like, bro, you only got 9 plays, but I use these motherfuckers split like Novocaine. Mix them up, reuse them. It's like the art of war. You can have 3 plans and reuse them infinitely. And the sea is like, you know, it became my best friend when I just like, I'm like, all my artwork is super flat. Like, real talk, I just kept saying like, man, my artwork is really flat. I don't know what is going on. And I've told this story on my Twitch a couple times, but for the new people here, I was like sitting at like a doctor's appointment or something. I used to bring my Cintiq everywhere, and then when I didn't have my mobile Cintiq, I would bring my sketchbook everywhere. And so I was just sitting and I was drawing in my sketchbook, and it just clicked to me that like diagonals dictate distance. And it sounds silly, but this is how, you know, you don't get the volumes of this cube if I don't use diagonal lines. And so then I'm drawing and constructing my characters, I'm like, oh my god, they're super stiff, is because those diagonal lines have now become C's. And I'm able to make cylinders in perspective, if that makes sense, right? Sounds weird, but yeah, you know, and that's how you're able to do it. So yeah, the power of the sea, man, is just, you know, it's huge. So you go back to this other point now. Now to push it, we making it more cinematic. We jumping into a more cinematic vibe, and that's where we add these lines to it. And now we start going along with these lines. This feels like I'm looking at this from a camera, and from a low camera angle now. Now, you talked about your character being arrogant, doesn't like people that waste his time. Now he's looking down on you. He's like legitimately looking down on you. You know what I'm saying? and it's all pushed and accentuated by the camera angle of it being low angle, of it looking up, of now him having power, which, you know, gives him that by looking down. You know, Jordan says draw every day, the time in between. You know, drawing every day, people are like, I don't have the time, I don't know, whatever. It's like you haven't audited your time, you haven't found the time between time, is how I kind of refer to it. So when I felt like I didn't have enough time, I'm like, where am I just sitting and looking at my phone and doing other stuff, like that I could be holding a sketch pad, that I could be holding my Cintiq. And I found I was doing a lot of waiting in my life. And I'm like, let me, I'm gonna do some C's, add some C's to my artwork real quick. Do it, take a screenshot, show me what it looks like. And I'm like, where have I been doing a lot of waiting in my life, right? Okay, you know, I'm standing around at train stations, I'm doing whatever, and I'm like, I could be drawing here. But there's a second part of the art that I was missing. Second part of the fucking art that I was missing. Oh, an ad's gonna come up for anybody who's not subbed. I'm sorry, I only run the ads so people don't get pre-rolls. I apologize. So for everybody who subbed, it's gonna get this in VOD. Actually, you know what? Hold that thought. I'm gonna wait until the ad is done, and I'm gonna construct a little bit more of this drawing while we're waiting, because everybody who can see this drawing right now is subbed. I'm gonna construct this a little bit more. I'm gonna move quick because I only got like 90 seconds. So your character had this hit cape, what I can remember. I'm gonna try to go off the dome, wearing like a chest plate here, like this. And it was actually a short sleeve joint. So we are seeing inside here like this. He also had a gauntlets, and he had greaves. Now what we're gonna do, because we got the space now, is we're gonna pull this boy back. I draw, like I said, I draw the lines through and erase them later, because it just feels more real when you do that. He had this belt on. He also had this side things on too. All right, so the ad's done, and what I wanted to talk about was the time between time. And go ahead and hit the sub button and support these free gems the homie drops every week. Lazy vibes, that thumbs up, thank you. Yeah, for sure. YouTube, IG, support the homie on Twitch. He's dropping free gems every week. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, if there's 12 people on right now, I haven't even reset the room yet. I generally do this from time to time. If you have a Prime account, you can sub for free. It doesn't cost you anything, and it supports me. And if you do have a Twitch account, yeah, consider dropping me a sub. If you're just hanging around and you're lurking and you haven't followed yet, yo, consider following. I appreciate that. So I was talking about the time between time, and so I found that I was like standing around waiting at the train, doing all this stuff. So I'm like, all right, I can have a sketchbook, I can be drawing. But then there were moments where I was like, okay, I'm also sitting here and I'm waiting for my lunch, right? And like, can I be drawing while I'm waiting for my lunch? No. But I was missing a secondary component to the art shit, and it's also being able to study your own stuff. Like, you have to be able to study your artwork and see where you're making mistakes in order for it to grow. So I was like, okay, when I'm waiting for food, when I'm waiting in an area where it's too tight for me to draw and I can't draw, I'm gonna post my work to IG, and then I'm going to study it. I'm gonna study my work in the moments where I can't be drawing. And that was crucial because I was making notes on my own shit. I'm like, all right, this was fucked up, this is messed up, I keep drawing a flat nose, I keep doing this. So it was making me keep it in mind every time. Hold on, my thing's saving. It was making me keep it in mind every time, right? When I was drawing. All right, so hold on, give me 1 second. Your character was muscular. Thought. Yes, because I remember drawing quads. A quad. I gotta practice D's. Yeah, this thing here, but it was baggy in the middle. Maybe it's baggy here and then it gets tighter around the edges. And then you have it here, part that goes in the groin, butt, here, leg, biceps, knee, and you had on greaves before. I'm doing this like, you know, because I want to show like a little bit more of a finished portion of it. I might get into a little color or just like some of this. Now I don't remember the face because I didn't do any work on the face. Okay, he has dreads, beard, and hood. All right, we're gonna obscure part of this face. That feels very ominous. You can only see part of the eye. That shit's clean. Part of the eye. I'm looking down on you. Now, I'm not really sticking to your style of the face right now. I'm putting in symbols, if you will, of the face. So excuse me, because I'm really trying to just kind of get through this real quick. So judge my face if you want. I'm not really I'm really just trying to get to the other components of it. He looks like an old young man. And this will probably have a little drop on the back of that hood. All right, and this sword. And now you got this guy. You got no respect. He's looking down on you. It feels cinematic, if you will. Super con. Hey Mike, any tips on getting better art? Oh yeah, first tip, draw every single day. There is not a day that you're allowed to miss. I know people are like, what? Or now there's this new thing where you don't have to draw every day to get better. There are people who've been drawing for years, and if you have not been drawing every day and you want to catch up to them, you have to put in the sweat equity to make the difference. So yes, the people I'm seeing that are saying you don't have to draw every day, these people are directors, they're this, they're that, they're people who are already in the industry, they're doing shit. You can't do what they're doing because you're not there yet. You got to fucking go hard, you know what I'm saying, and draw to kind of catch up, unfortunately. So drawing every day. Also draw with intention to get better. So study things, draw shit that is difficult. You will be unhappy for a little while, but what I found is if you challenge yourself and you start to draw things that are a little bit difficult, at least, you know, a couple days a week or once or twice a week, you'll actually start to find enjoyment that you're conquering the illusion of drawing. All right, so I did this character really quick. I'm starting to see some issues from my own perspective, but let's just I want to get into the color thing that I was talking about. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do this background. All right, and this is your character's background, and we're going to dark. So there's going to be closer lights closer to the ground, darker as you get further up in the night sky. You know what I'm saying? Just happens that way. Now I'm putting the lights in a way where I'm also framing this character. So, bear with me. Now more tint in this stuff. Imagine painting your own gradients instead of using the gradient tool. That's what I do. It gets some more more organic hand feel, you know. Trust me, I use the tools when necessary. Now check this. Actually, probably a whole shading here. Your characters, you know, on top of it or whatnot. Not being conscientious of the layouts here. I just want to prove a particular point. Actually, if I hit this, then I can stay within it. All right, so yeah, because you go like, oh man, I wish, bro, I wish. All right, so here we go. Look at the contrast difference now. I went black and white to the background and the strength of the silhouette. The game changer, you know what I'm saying? Then you know, like here, characters blending in a little bit. Still feels like, and look, my background is not as dark as your background. My character is not as dark as your character. But the contrast is still really there. We still know it's nighttime. You know what I'm saying? Silhouette stronger now. Looking way different vibes. You want it to be more ominous? We go in here, make it a little bit. Now, I still kept the shades warm, right? So I actually pulled it down, gave it a little bit more value, and I actually pulled it a little closer to black, right? And, you know, it still works to darken it, but your contrast in your character is not going to change. And to be honest, if you really want to do it now, you can really accentuate the darkness on old boy's face, under his chin, inside his hood, to really frame his face. And just like, now, my nigga, now we're telling stories. You know what I'm saying? We're telling stories in his body language. We're telling stories in the way he's shaded, how he's looking down. Completely different vibe the darker we get, and we get into these moments where this new Cintiq, man, it's been fucking with me a little bit. I can't use my rocker ring to zoom in and out, so I've been like you iPad people, using my fingers, and I hate it because I like having one hand having control over my board and the other just being focused on my you know what I'm saying, my screen and drawing. Accentuate things even more now. Give a little shade here. And just be like, oh yeah, there's fabric that covers the whole belt. Fine. Okay. And then boom, still stands out, still strong. You can actually make this background fucking darker too. You know what I'm saying? Let's control you. Let's make it darker. Let's put the saturation. Let's add a little bit more red to it. Make it purple. You know, and that purple, it's gonna dilute the contrast a little bit, but it's giving us a little visual interest because orange and purple, they complement. You know what I'm saying? So even though you would think you're going to lose some of that contrast, and you do it in a way by making it darker, still silhouette still stands out. You know what I'm saying? You want to be cold as fuck, you can make him lighter too. So it's really strong, right? Now once you add flames and all this other stuff, it just makes it even better. You know what I'm saying? Now we're looking at yellow, and I'm moving quickly, so sorry guys, bear with me actually. And you know, do this here, right? I'm trying to remember where I think the flames were. Go here, and then that. Oh, that actually turned off. Okay. All right, let's see. And we do this here. Go to cape. We're actually going to use some of that light to bounce off this face. Again, we're telling stories, yo. Rim light. Not all that light's perfect, but you get the point. Listen to you gave me the motivation. I've been lacking. I'll listen to you speak gave me advice. I've been looking for. Sorry, my English is weird. Love from France. Hey, thank you. It's all good. I appreciate it, and it's amazing that someone from France is actually looking at my work and has also dropped some badges. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm glad I've been able to motivate, because that's really my goal. It's really what I want to do. Thanks, much appreciated. Yes. Turn this off. So, you know, my goal is to not waste. Well, let me finish this here. So yeah, the color theory stuff. Boom. We pop into black and white. Obviously, the fire is still, because it's lighter, has higher contrast. However, you're looking at it, it's not the same contrast that it had before, where it was overpowering and taking over everything else, right? It complements it. It's a part of it. It's all working together. And now we're also getting a little light on that face. Now I'm moving quickly. You're more diligent, taking your time with it. Shit gonna look tight. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna look real good. So, you know, boom. And this is how, like, you know, you should start first, and then dip into the other, and then dip into the details. If you start like this, and your silhouette's strong, and your perspective is strong, then everything else you add to it with that in mind only helps reinforce the movement, only helps reinforce everything. You know what I mean? And again, I'm already working off what you're working on. Warm colors, cool background. You know what I mean? I see you added some shading to the rocks. Did that as well. You know, a lot of the same stuff. And then even if we're going here, you know, this is your drawing, your perspectives, me just doing the C's, man. That's it. This man John gets better every piece, I swear. Yeah, bro, it's crazy. Just remember, man, even in the small details, these eyes, the cheeks are here first, so the line is going to be straight or C. This nose is going to be like this. You don't always see the bottom of the chin, especially if he's looking down, you know, but you want to keep that in mind, the top part of them eyes. But yo, great job, John, and thank you again for that Eyes of Darkness. I appreciate it.